How to detach and stop giving meaning to everything and causing our own suffering. Hello and welcome. My name is Gareth Fleck, and in today's video, I'm going to share with you an easy to implement method that can help you detach from things and just become the observer instead of being so identified with everything. Okay, so the method here is when we look at things, we go, that doesn't mean anything. This computer, that doesn't mean anything. That negative thought or a thought pattern, that doesn't mean anything, or I don't know what that means, because things can only affect us when we give meaning to it, right? If you're giving a meaning to something, then it's going to affect you. I'd like to share a story that happened to me last night. So I've been practicing this method just for like a few minutes a day. I'd look at something and be like, that doesn't mean anything, or I don't know what that means. And it creates this clarity in my mind because I'm not giving it a meaning. So I look at that plant there. I know it's a plant, but I don't actually know what it is. The word plant isn't actually that. It's just the word that I'm associating with it. I don't actually know what a plant is. I don't understand it. And I can give a meaning to it. But last night, we had friends over for a party. And I was just sitting there, at parties, I speak to people, but I like to just sit and observe and watch people's body language and interactions and just observe everything. And people were having this big conversation. I was sitting there like, just meditating, sitting there and getting deeper. And I just started going, that doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. Everything I was saying, I was like, that doesn't actually mean anything. And I was like, this couch I'm sitting on doesn't mean anything. And I was like, these thoughts don't even mean anything. And the more I said it, the more deeper I went. And then their language started to just become sound. Like I hadn't identified any meaning with what they were saying, and it just became background noises. I'm like, this doesn't mean anything. This doesn't mean anything. I don't know what that means. And I went so deep within my being, my awareness expanded, and I merged with everything again. And I was just sitting in this absolute bliss consciousness state. And anything that came, a thought, came up, I don't know what that means. And it would just dissipate, and it goes away. And I just went even deeper to this point where I just didn't even know where I was. I was just one with everything, and it was beautiful. And I was like, oh, I better come back, over here with the party. And I came and observed again. But we want to learn to observe things, because then we won't get upset, because you're not giving a meaning to it. You're the observer. You're looking at it. I hope that kind of makes sense. That when you look around, look at things in your room, like that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't actually mean anything. Like what does it? That only means what we give it the means. Does that make sense? And it creates this wee gap between our associations and our thoughts of things. But even with your thoughts, well, I don't know what that means. That doesn't mean anything. And then it just goes away. I've been really working with this, and it creates an amazing clarity. And I can actually, because you can't actually see the thing with your thoughts, you're giving it this meaning. But if you can say, this doesn't mean anything to you, you don't know what it means. You can actually see it. You can see the thing you're looking at instead of your thoughts, clouding it, giving it a meaning. Like, for example, if someone says something to you, you're going to give it a meaning. And if the words they used, you have a negative connotation or association with that, you're going to give it a negative meaning. Therefore, you're going to react negatively or respond negatively to that. But if you're just like, that doesn't mean anything, really, it's not going to affect you because you haven't given it a meaning. Like money. If I give it such a meaning, it means so much. Like, oh, I'm creating a distance between it, and it's not going to come to me. But if I'm like, oh, it doesn't really mean anything, I'm not putting it on a pedestal, right? I could give it the meaning, like I can give this, I have this money, I could take my parents and family out to dinner, or I could donate this, like I could help do good. I could give it a meaning, like money helps me live a beautiful life, and I can help others a lot more than I could when I was poor, type thing. And everything's the meaning you give it. But if you give it no meaning, just a few minutes a day, just look at things. That doesn't mean anything. That doesn't mean anything. And then the thoughts that aren't the best, they don't mean anything. I hope that makes sense. I don't know. I just wanted to share that with you. It's like really, really powerful for me, I've been finding. And I get very still within, and it doesn't mean anything. And I'm not giving anything meaning. So I'm not giving it a good or bad. It's like beyond duality. You know, yeah, it's only going to be bad if you give it the meaning of bad, if you say it's bad, if you believe it, and what we believe shall be done unto us. So if you're like, it doesn't really mean anything, that just is. It is. It is. It creates this very clarity in your mind. Yeah, I hope that makes sense. It's something I've been working with, and I've been really enjoying it. And yeah, last night was profound, going so deep within where I couldn't even understand anything, and it was just complete pure bliss, and my whole body and awareness just merged with all that around me, because I no longer had a gap. I wasn't separating myself from everything with meanings and thoughts and beliefs, because at that moment I just had no beliefs, and I was just pure beingness. And then come back, and then you observe, and just become the observer, be the witness. You know, the thoughts aren't you. You're just going to observe them. And then whatever meaning you give them is what it's going to mean to you. So if you're like, they don't mean anything, then it takes away the meaning and you're set free. I love you. I hope that makes sense. Give me some comments and feedback if you understood that concept. Give it a try a few times a day. Like just spend like a few minutes just looking around, like when you're in the shower. This doesn't mean anything. I don't know what this means. Stop giving meaning to everything. So peace be on your soul. I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.